Welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'm going to be using the Olympus EM1X camera with the 300mm f4 Pro lens, and I'm going to be going over a little bit about the pros, the cons, how I've got on with the camera, because I've had it now for about 2 weeks, and I'm going to be comparing it with the Canon 7D Mark II and the 100-400mm lens f4.5 to 5.6. Because that's the camera I've been using now for about 3-4 years. So yeah, it'll be good to see whether or not I think it's going to be worth upgrading to the Olympus, selling all my Canon gear and coming over to Olympus. I'm still not sure, but yeah. So today I'm going to walk around the reserve, see what we can find, and talk a little bit about the EM1 Mark X. So let's go. Okay, so what we've got here is a common tern that's just flying. You can see it's really windy, so I do apologise. But we've got a common tern that's flying and dipping down, catching little insects off just the surface of the water. And it's a really good opportunity actually to try and get some in-flight shots with the EM1X. And yeah, just test it out. So let's see what we can get. Alright, so when I first picked up this camera, it was delivered to my house, and I opened the box, got out the bag, switched it on, and it wasn't working. So I thought it was broke. I soon figured out that someone, obviously a person that had the loan before me, had changed the customized settings so that the FN button would switch the camera on and off. So they disabled the function to be able to turn the camera on and off with the on and off switch. The trigger on the portrait mode on the battery grip was disabled, and to be honest with you, I wasn't getting on with the camera at all. So what I did is I contacted my friend who has an Olympus, and I asked him how to reset to factory settings. So I did that, I managed to do that nice and easy, and as soon as I'd done that, the camera was so much easier to use. So finally, after figuring out how to use the camera, I then realised that actually the weight of it and the size of the camera isn't any different really when I put it side by side to my 7D Mark II with a 100-400 and this 300 fixed prime lens. The size difference, there wasn't really any. So immediately I thought to myself, well, if I wanted to get a mirrorless camera because it's smaller, I'm not going to be doing that. And yes, I do understand that this has got the battery grip and it makes it bigger because it's got the battery grip. And that's probably one of the reasons why I would consider going for the EM1 Mark III over the EM1X, sorry. Because I can just carry around a few spare batteries with me instead of having the larger portrait battery grip, which, to be honest with you, I do find very useful, and I love being able to shoot portrait, but it's more about portability for me, and so for that reason I wouldn't choose to upgrade to this on the fact that I'm going to mirrorless and it's going to be smaller and lighter. Saying that, being lighter, it's not lighter because it's got the battery grip, and the lens itself is the same size. It's thinner than my 7D Mark II, the 100-400, but it's not lighter, or at least it doesn't feel lighter. I haven't actually weighed them, but this together, the camera body with lens feels heavier than my 7D Mark II with 100-400mm lens. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're considering upgrading to mirrorless camera because it's going to be smaller. I'd potentially consider going for the EM1 Mark III. Yeah. Okay, so something happened the other day that basically persuaded me, or really pushed me towards wanting to upgrade to this camera. So basically what happened, I was sat in my garden the other day, and out of nowhere, out of the flower bed, a fox just appeared from nowhere. And it decided to sit on our lawn within 5 to 10 meters away from me. Luckily, I had this camera ready to go, and to be honest with you, I didn't even think about the settings. I just sort of flipped out the screen, flipped out the flippy screen, knelt down, and got some absolutely amazing images that, to be honest with you, I love them. I love these images, and I'll show you obviously right now what those photos look like. Again, it just didn't let me down. It didn't let me down with autofocus, it didn't let me down with exposure, it didn't let me down with frames or anything, frames per second. It nailed it, if I'm completely honest with you. And I got this awesome picture of a fox yawning, where you can see all his teeth and his tongue and everything. So yeah, brilliant image. Could I've got that image with my Canon 7D Mark II? Probably it could have. Was it easier with this? Yes, it was. And the reason for that was because of the screen, to be honest with you. I could literally put the camera down, look at the screen. It gives me a live exposure of exactly what I'm seeing. And yes, that's a mirrorless camera for you. And then it just nailed the focus. So I'm sort of think every now and then, if I use my Canon 7D Mark II, it would have focused on the fox's nose, or it would have just not got it right, or would have messed it up, because it has happened a lot before. This just seemed to know exactly what to do, and it nailed it, and I was really happy with the results. So, by some miracle, I've just got back from work, and the fox is in my garden again, asleep. It's over there, under the green bush. So, I've got my Canon 7D Mark II, and we're going to get some images to compare with the EM1X. So I've managed to get some images of the fox with the Canon 7D Mark II and the 100-400 f4.5 to 5.6. However, the fox is sleeping currently just over here, and it's not in the same spot as it was when I took the really amazing photos with the EM1X. And this is, I've just got to say that this is an incredible experience to be able to just sit here with a fox that doesn't care that I'm here, doesn't care that I'm talking, and it's just sleeping. It's literally just sleeping right there. I mean, I am so lucky. Yeah, it's it looks like a young fox to me, but it seems to be now a regular visitor to our garden, and it's sleeping here quite a bit. But yeah, so as I was saying, I don't think it's a fair comparison, because the fox when I was shooting with the Olympus was in the middle of my lawn, just around here, and at the moment the fox is up against the trees, so I can't really get that nice depth of field, and unfortunately, because it's sleeping, I don't think it's going to be moving anytime soon. So either way, I'll put up the images I got on my 7D Mark II, and you can kind of compare. What I might do is go and get the EM1X and take some photos of the fox in this position, and we can compare them exactly. That's a good idea. Let's go and get the camera. That's right. So, yeah. Okay, let's see what we can do. So, a couple of things I've noticed with the Olympus, the 300mm fixed lens, I'm currently too close to the fox to be able to get all of the fox in without it feeling too tight. So with my 100-400 I've been able to zoom out, and it's nice to be able to do that. I found it easier shooting with the lens, obviously, with the LCD screen, sorry. Also, because of the inbuilt body stabilization within this, I'm shooting it at ISO 400 with a shutter of 250th, and I'm getting the sharp images at f4. So with the Canon, I put it at the exact same settings as I did with the Olympus. So I've been shooting at 250th of a second with ISO 400 and aperture of f5, obviously because the lens only goes to f5. Yeah, so we'll see what the difference is like. I do prefer being able to zoom out. However, I think I've still got better images with the Olympus.
So yeah, it's a tricky one. Also, I really just pulled my neck and shoulder just then, laying down on the ground with this, whereas with the Olympus, I didn't need to lay down. I could just sit here and all is okay. So yeah.
Talking about being able to see a live exposure with the mirrorless camera, that is something I don't like with the EM1X, is the EVF. Now the EVF on this camera is really not that good, and if you're going from a optical viewfinder from a DSLR, you really will probably not like it, and it will take you a while to get used to. It's usable, it is usable, but it is essentially you're looking at a very small digitalized screen, and you are seeing what the camera sees. So there is obviously that benefit of being able to see exactly how your photo is exposed, which is great, but it's kind of just I don't know what it is, I can't quite put my finger on it, but something about using an EVF just isn't as enjoyable as using a DSLR with the mirror. Obviously it's just much nicer being able to see what your eye sees instead of what a screen sees, if that makes any sense. So the 7D Mark II, I do prefer a mirror. Maybe I'll get used to the mirrorless EVF, I don't know, but at the moment I don't like it. I don't like this one. Potentially there's other mirrorless cameras out there that have got really good EVFs, but this one specifically, it's not terrible, but I find myself using the flippy out screen, the LCD screen, a lot more than I find myself using the EVF. But at the same time, I can track subjects much easier when looking down an EVF than I can looking at the screen. So I want to be using the EVF, but I don't like using it. So next up, we have ease of use. This camera is a breeze to use. Honestly, like when I pull it out of my camera, I just know that I can get the lens cover, I can just pop it up, twist it, done, ready to go. And with the battery grip, you've got 2 batteries, you can go out and you can shoot for hours. Obviously being a mirrorless camera, it does use a lot more battery life, so I found that it has similar battery life to my Canon 7D Mark II. My 7D Mark II, I don't have the battery grip, but ease of use, this camera is amazing. I love being able to just flick that out like that, instead of having to take off the lens cover, turn it around, find the right slot, swivel it on. It just saves so much time, and then packing it away as well, same thing. Again, it's just all the little things really. So being able to transfer your images through Wi-Fi is really, really easy, and the way they've designed the app and everything is just so user-friendly, so that's great. And in terms of like uploading images onto social media and things, instead of having to take your memory card out, put it into a computer, and then edit it and put it onto Instagram, I can now just go straight from camera to my phone, edit on Lightroom app, and then put it onto Instagram. It's so much quicker, saves a lot more time, and it's more enjoyable to use. The other really cool feature about this is I do not even have to take the batteries out to charge them up. So on the side here, we've got a little USB-C slot, which I'll show you. It's probably not the best view, but we've got a USB-C. We literally just plug in my phone charger, because my phone uses USB-C, and it charges it. So again, another user-friendly tool, which I actually love about this camera as well. It's really, really cool. So another feature on the lens, on the 300mm f4 lens, is the ability to switch from autofocus, which is up front, to manual focus, which you just pull it back and then you're in manual focus. I think a lot of people like this, but I haven't really been getting on with it. I don't know if it's just because I haven't used it enough, but I find myself sort of slipping it accidentally into manual focus, and then I'm going round and I'm going, oh, why isn't it focusing? And then I look and I'm like, it's slipped down into manual focus, and sometimes that can be really annoying. So I don't know if it's just because I'm not used to it at the moment. I can see it being a really good feature as well, because you can literally just go boom, manual focus, and pop it back to autofocus. So maybe it's just I need to get used to it, and potentially it's a really good feature. So the major drawback for me with this, so if I was to switch right now, I would be trading in my 7D Mark II with 100 to 400 for this Olympus EM1X or EM1 Mark III with 300 prime lens. And that is a crucial factor for me. It being a fixed lens is both beneficial but at the same time detrimental to my ability to be creative within wildlife photography. On numerous occasions I found myself being too close to the subject, or you know, and I've for example, I'll show now a picture of the fox where I was too close. It could have been a great image if I had only been able to zoom out a little bit. Now, I would not have had that problem if I was shooting with my Canon 7D Mark II with 100 to 400. I could have zoomed out a little bit, made sure I got all of the fox's face in, and maybe some his body, and maybe some of the landscape. With this, I don't have the option. It's more about being creative with the one lens that you've got and the one focal length. So it's pros and cons really, because it makes you be a little bit more. It makes you think a little bit more about your shots and how you're going to get your shots. But at the same time, in situations where things just happen randomly, like that fox just came out into my lawn, I needed to be able to zoom out a little bit, and I couldn't do that with this lens. So that would mean I would have to buy a second lens, which then gets really expensive. So, and now I'm thinking about it like that, you know, I'm probably happy with my Canon 7D Mark II with 100 400, but at the same time I love this camera. So I don't know. Alright, so now on to the more obvious difference between the two. My Canon 7D Mark II is an APS-C crop sensor camera, and we get a 1.6 times crop on the end of my telephoto lens, and the Olympus EM1X is a micro 4/3 system. Therefore, this 300mm is technically in full frame equivalency a 600mm lens. Now, if you get the 2 times converter, you're going to be getting a 1200mm focal length on the end of that, which is crazy. And being that it's a micro 4/3 and it's Olympus, it's got currently the world's best inbuilt body stabilization, and you could get an extra 7.5 stops of light, I believe, and I have noticed it. So I've been out and about shooting at under 100th of a second, so 1/50th, and I've been able to get sharp images of birds and flowers. It's incredible, and it really is a feature that I think I would use and benefit from within wildlife photography, and that plays a massive sort of factor as to whether or not I'm going to transition over to the micro 4/3 system. Alright, so the last test I want to do with this is see how low I can get the shutter and still get a sharp image, and then do the exact same settings on my Canon 7D Mark II and see what the results are like. So let's do that now. Now, obviously, recently, Olympus have announced that they are going to be selling their company to JIP, and we don't really know what the future is like for Olympus at the moment. Am I worried about that, though? No, I'm not worried about that, but to be quite honest with you. This camera, for me, or the EM1 Mark III, is everything I could really ever ask for a wildlife photography camera, and I don't really need much else other than maybe animal AF, which I know Sony cameras have. But the thing is, the Olympus has got the price, okay? So this is more in my price bracket than going for a full frame, because the other possibility I was seriously considering was the Canon R5 mirrorless camera, which is going to be coming out at some point. But the price of that camera is going to probably cost the price of this body and this lens together, maybe more, just for the body. So yeah, and yeah, I don't really have to worry about noise. I know that a lot of people say micro four thirds is just noise. Yeah, my camera, the Canon 70 Mark II, if you go up to 3200 ISO, noise, you can see noise. There's a lot of noise. It's terrible for it. This camera is exactly the same. It's, in my opinion, it's on par with the Canon 70 Mark II. But it doesn't even matter these days. You've got programs like AI noise reduction, and that just completely gets rid of it. So to be honest with you, noise to me isn't a factor anymore, and I don't really have to worry about that. I actually really like the micro four thirds system, and I think it has got a place within the camera industry, within the wildlife photography industry. I think it is a great thing, and the image stabilization is just amazing. So with that all being said, would I buy the Olympus and sell my Canon? So I think to answer that question, I would need a little bit more time to think about it. I've only had this camera for just under 2 weeks, and I'm only just getting to grips with it. I haven't used hardly any of the features of this camera. I've pretty much just used all the normal settings that I would use with my Canon 70 Mark II. I haven't even tried Pro Capture yet, which is just stupid. I don't even know why I haven't tried Pro Capture, but I'm going to try and get that in within the next couple of days. You can do 50 megapixel handheld shots, 80 megapixels on a tripod. All of these things I really want to try. Haven't been able to, and yeah, so I've got a lot still to try with this camera, but at the moment I'm seriously considering selling my Canon 70 Mark II and getting the EM1 Mark III. So not this body, but the EM1 Mark III with a 300 f4 lens, because I love this lens, and that photo of the fox, really, that kind of just sold it to me. I know now I can get decent images with this lens, and yeah. So I really want to make it clear though that I'm potentially considering upgrading to the EM1 Mark III over my 7D Mark II, because I've been shooting with the 7D Mark II now for 4 or 5 years, a long time, okay, and I really want a mirrorless camera. So it's more about you being user friendly. It's not about whether or not the camera can get good photos and functions well in the field. So I know for a fact that I can do everything that this camera can do with my 7D Mark II. 7D Mark II is a great camera, and I think now I'm just wanting to upgrade because I want to change. I want a new camera, and I want some things that make my life a little bit easier, like the USB-C, the Wi-Fi transfer, the image stabilization. You know, a few of those things have no implications on whether or not I'm going to get good wildlife photos, right? So, but these are things that are coming into my decision. So if you're just after a camera that wants, you know, that's for wildlife photography, and you want to be able to get decent images, you've got good autofocus, 10 frames a second, weather sealed camera, as is this, you know, Canon 7D Mark II, brilliant camera. And if you go second hand, you're going to be able to get it much cheaper than you're going to get this. So I'd recommend going for that, you know. But to be honest with you, I don't know. It's personal preference, a lot of it. But yeah, I'm seriously considering upgrading to the Olympus camera. So another thing I wanted to mention about this camera was the menu system. Now the menu system, as a lot of people say, and as I heard before getting it, is very in-depth. And there's a lot of menus within menus within menus. However, it is nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's a matter of just familiarizing yourself with the camera and how it works. Once you've done that, it's a breeze. It's a breeze to use. And I really do think it's got a bit of a bad reputation, which I don't think it deserves. I think this camera is great. Maybe now I'm becoming biased towards it, but yeah, I really do like it, and I don't think the menu system is too clunky or too hard to like navigate or anything like that. The camera is well designed with all the custom buttons, and you can customize it however you want, pretty much, to make it user friendly when you are shooting, and it's just been well thought through, I think, the whole camera, to be honest. So it's just about, if you're going from a Canon to an Olympus, or from any brand to any brand, it's always about just familiarizing yourself with the way the camera works and how it is. I'm not someone that's just like Canon. I'm not a Canon user. I use Canon, but I will go wherever. I don't care, honestly. yeah, I'll go Canon, Nikon, Sony, Olympus. It doesn't matter to me. It's just whatever does the job and whatever I get on with at that moment in time. So yeah, I just wanted to just say a little bit about the menu system there, because I know it's got a bit of a bad reputation. And I think the other thing I didn't really pick up on, I mean, I may have touched on it a little bit, was the touchscreen. The swivel out touchscreen goes wherever you want it to go. This is another massive thing that makes me want to upgrade to a mirrorless camera, or a camera that's got a swivel out screen, because just the ability to be able to shoot down low while still standing up, or just kneeling down without getting a bad neck, because with my 7D Mark II I'm always laying down in the mud, as you would have seen in the duckling video that I made. I'm laying down, my neck is up, and I'm getting a bad back. With this, it just completely gets rid of that. You don't have to do it, and it's just, I mean, I didn't realize how much I would need this. It's that feature is just so good. Yeah, and I know that so many other cameras have got it. Yeah, so for them to have actually made a weather sealed camera with a swivelly out screen, that's awesome. Absolutely love it. And another feature that I really now want as well. So yeah, I think Olympus have done a great job of being able to send out these pro loan cameras, because they pretty much just sold this camera to me. Like, I would never have considered a Olympus camera before now. I would have probably considered the Panasonic Lumix G9. I was going to go for the Canon R5. When that comes out, I would have considered Sony. I would not have considered Olympus, but now it's a serious contender. So what do you think I should do? Should I stick with Canon? I've got other Canon lenses. I've got a Canon macro lens, portrait lens, telephoto lens, or should I sell all of my gear and just go Olympus? I don't really know what to do at the moment. I'm in a bit of a predicament here, and yeah, what would you do? Let me know in the comments down below. And aside from that, thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, hit subscribe, hit the like button, and also hit that notification bell. And then I will see you in the next video.